Hi friends. Welcome to the vlog. This week I'm going to do a mixture of like a challenge vlog and also just like a general weekly vlog. So this week I am currently reading 10 books. Let me pull up what those 10 books are because I don't even know what some of them are at this point. Okay, so the 10 books that I am currently reading are No Sense in Wishing, which is an ARC that I got on NetGalley. It had no wait period, and I'm trying to get my NetGalley ratings up now that I'm actually focusing on reading. So I picked this one up. I'm probably like 20 pages into it, and I'm liking it so far. I think the entire book is going to be essays from this man about the music scene in Baltimore, which I know almost nothing about. But so far I'm enjoying learning about it, so hopefully the rest of it's a good time. I just finished The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year. I would classify this as like a mystery romance, and actually we're going to talk about this later. Hang on, forget I said anything. The next one I'm reading is Welcome to the Hyeonam-dong Bookshop. I don't think I pronounced that correctly. I need to Google how to say it. I am about 30% into this, and I have it out from the library. And it's also a book club book for Stephanie Bookish's Patreon. So I kind of need to finish it, like, soon. Because it needs to go back to the library, and I need to be ready to talk about it with people. I'm enjoying it so far. It is pretty slow. I would say it's probably the closest thing I've read to something like this before was Legends and Lattes, but this book doesn't have a fantasy piece, at least not yet. I don't think it's supposed to, but it currently has no fantasy in it at all. It's just kind of slow and nice. It's really nice to read right before bed. It's really relaxing to read because it's just so mundane and there's not much happening, which is just nice right now, because we are 25 days into January and it feels like this year has actually lasted 3 years. So having something nice and slow to read has been good for my mental health. I'm also reading Magnolia Parks. I don't know if I'm going to make any progress in this one this week because I was listening to it on Spotify. I got maybe like 25% of the way in or something. I don't even know where I'm at in it because I switched so quickly to a different book. But I was listening to it on Spotify. I had to switch to listening to a different book for another book club, and I ran out of hours. And I looked, I think yesterday, and I'm not going to get more hours for 2 weeks. So if I get this in from the library, I'll keep listening to it, but if I don't, then it's just on hold until my Spotify resets, and it'll be a February finish if that's what happens. The next book I'm reading, and one that I'd really like to finish this weekend if I can, is Masters of Death by Olivia Blake. I'm really, really enjoying this. I had no idea what I was getting myself into when I started this book, but my mom and I picked it to be our buddy read. We try to do a buddy read every month. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but that is our buddy read this month. I'm really enjoying it. I think I'm like a little over 50% of the way through, and I don't have an audio for it, so I just have to force myself to sit down and read it, which is hard on the weekends, so it might not get finished. Another audiobook is Voyager by Diana Gabaldon. I had the physical version and I gave it back to my mom because I was borrowing it from her, and I brought it with me when I visited for Christmas, so I just gave it back to her instead of taking it with me because I had the audio. And then I had the audio from Hoopla. Hoopla returned it, and my library unfortunately had to reduce their Hoopla budget this year, so I have been trying for 2 weeks, probably more than 2 weeks now. I finally got it this morning, but I've been trying for 2 weeks to get it back from Hoopla, and the daily limit just keeps getting reached. by the time I wake up in the morning. So I haven't been able to get anything on Hoopla until this morning, and I had gotten this one from Libby instead. So I got 5 more books on Hoopla that I should really listen to, because your library pays per book on Hoopla. So if you are checking out books on Hoopla and not reading them, and then just checking them out again and again and again, it feels like you're not doing anything, but your library is actually paying for those every time you check them out. So maybe try to read them, and maybe don't check things out that you're not going to read from Hoopla. Use Libby for that instead, because they don't have to pay per checkout on Libby. The next book, I think this is book 6. Yeah, book 6 or 7 is How Bad Are Bananas? I've been reading this on Kindle for like 3 months now. I need to finish it. It was one of my 24 and 24 books, and I told myself that I needed to finish them because I was so close to being done with them at the end of last year, and this is one of them. So I'm not really liking it. I honestly might end up DNFing it if we don't get into some better information soon. And then I have another physical book that I need to finish. It's Happy Place by Emily Henry. I have not picked this book up since September, I think, and it's not because the book isn't good. I was enjoying it while I was reading it, but I just got distracted by other things. So, I need to finish it. I think I'm about 40% in. You can see the bookmark there. And romance is pretty quick, usually. So I'll try that after I get done with Masters of Death. And then my final physical book that I'm reading, and honestly this might end up being a DNF too. I think my mom did DNF it, and I told her I would DNF it, and then I changed my mind. But that is Fathom Folk by Eliza Chan. I don't know if this is a series. If it was, this author just had another book come out from Illumicrate. I just got the email for it. I will not be buying that, regardless of how this book ends. And it's so unfortunate because it's so pretty. Like, this is one of the prettiest books I have ever gotten in a book box. I specifically really love the Naked hardback, especially this gorgeous dragon on the back. It's just such a shame that I'm not really enjoying it. But I kind of want to see where the story's going, so I haven't completely DNF'd it yet. But I'm not going to end up keeping it unless something very drastic happens in the last half of the book. But yeah, those are the books I'm currently reading. I also have a comic marked as currently reading. It's called Stagtown. I don't know when I'm going to finish that. It's so long. But it is good. If you are into comics, I very highly recommend this one. Especially if you like horror and you like comics. This is a good one. But yeah. For the rest of the week, I am going to try my hardest to get up at 5 a.m. Sundays, probably not going to happen. Probably aim for 6 for Sunday. But the rest of the week, my husband and I try to go to the gym 3 mornings because traffic is so bad after I get off work that we hate going after work. So we try to get up at 5 at least 3 mornings in the week so that we can go to the gym together. And then the other 2, he tries to get up to walk on the treadmill. I usually do my walks after work. So if he's getting up for that, I'll probably try and get up with him and just make my breakfast and read while he's walking. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'd really love to be a morning person, but I fear that I am not. So this is probably going to be really rough. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go up to the craft room and do a little bit of listening so I can try and knock Voyager out before that library loan has to go back. And I'll probably crochet or work on my t-shirt quilt. Actually, I'm gonna work on my t-shirt quilt. I need to get those t-shirts off of that bookshelf. So that's what we'll do. So I'll see you when I see you.
It's 5:30. We're going to the gym and this sucks.
Good morning. It's 7 a.m. on Monday. Yesterday, I did not get up at 5. And today, I was awake at 5, but we did not get up. So that's a great start to the challenge, but it's better than I was before. So, I know I said I was going to focus on finishing books I've already started this week, but this morning I got a notification from the library that this book was due back in a couple of days, and I really did want to read it, and it's really short. It's like 250 pages max. So I decided to try, well, it's not even 250. It looks like it's 226. So I'm going to try and knock it out today and tomorrow because I have to go to the library for a work meeting tomorrow. So I just want to have this done so I can drop it off after that meeting. But I think this book is going to ruin me. Like, I'm only 3 or 4 chapters in, and I've already almost cried at least 3 times. I don't know much about this. I've just seen it around, and I really liked the cover, and the title really enticed me. It seemed really simple, and I didn't know what it could be about. So I decided to pick it up when I saw it on the library's new shelves. Also, use your libraries. Even if your library sucks, use it when you can, because they need your support. They get their funding, most of the time, they get their funding based on how many things get checked out and how many patrons utilize the physical library. So use it. Even if it's just checking things out on Libby or Hoopla, use your libraries. And anyways, this book, I'm going to read the synopsis because I'm not really sure what it's about yet. I think it's about this woman essentially finding herself again after she becomes an empty nester and all of her kids are grown up. But we'll see what the synopsis has to say. For the past 2 decades, Rocky has looked forward to her family's yearly escape to Cape Cod. Their humble beach town, Rental, has been the site of sweet memories, sunny days, great meals, and messes of all kinds, emotional, marital, and, thanks to the cottage's ancient plumbing, septic too. This year's vacation, with Rocky sandwiched between her half-grown kids and fully aging parents. I haven't met the parents yet. I've only met the kids. Promises to be just as delightful as summers past. Except perhaps for Rocky's hormonal bouts of rage and melancholy. Hello, menopause. Her body is changing, her life is too, and then a chain of events sends Rocky into the past, reliving both the tenderness and sorrow of a handful of long-ago summers. It's one precious week, everything is in balance, everything is in flux, and when Rocky comes face to face with her family's history and future, she is forced to accept that she can no longer hide her secrets from the people she loves. Wow. I didn't know we were going to get secrets. So I'm looking forward to that. So far, I've definitely seen, we're basically following this vacation. So they're at the Cape Cod Rental that they go to every summer, and we're following their vacation. And the book is broken up in 2 sections based on the days. So I've read Saturday, and now I'm on Sunday. And in the first day, we've already seen Rocky kind of struggling, I guess is the best way to put it, with her kids being grown, and we keep getting flashbacks to her and how she was struggling as a young mother on these vacations and how she still loved it, but it also sucked. And she's thinking about how she remembers these things so differently from the rest of her family. So yeah, I still really feel like this is going to ruin me after reading that synopsis. I'm really excited to see how badly it ruins me. Like, how much am I gonna cry at this book? But I've only read 25 pages, and I feel it's a little early to tell, but I feel like this could be one of my absolute favorites of the entire year. So yeah, I'm gonna go get ready now. I should have said this before, but we got up and left the house at 5:30, and we went to the gym. It was fine. I've been out of the gym for a while because I broke my foot last summer, and I just haven't gotten back into a routine. I'm still kind of limited in what I can do with my foot. Everything's healed except for a nerve, so I just have some nerve pain, and I'm dealing with that. But all of my foot muscles are not what they used to be. So it's just been kind of hard to get back in. But yeah, we went to the gym. I came home and packed my lunch and made breakfast, and I've been sitting here reading for about 30 minutes. I'd like to read for more than 30 minutes the rest of the week if I can get myself to get up. Maybe listen to some audiobooks and do some crafting in the morning too, especially since I know tomorrow I won't get home until really late. So we'll see. Honestly, I think if I don't get up at 5 and I get up at least by 6, I'll still consider this week a win, because I just kind of want to reset my schedule, reset my routine, and try my absolute hardest to become a morning person this year. Because I've done it before. We used to go to the gym. When we lived in Nebraska, we went to this gym for a while, for a few months, and I really liked it. We had like a personal trainer who did group fitness. So we would do a class every morning together that took about an hour. And I saw the best results I have ever gotten. Like I had abs. Like I could physically see my abs. And I saw results. And we don't really have that here. But I was really good about getting up and making it to those classes at least 3 times a week. So I think I can do it. I think I can get back to getting up that early, but we'll see. Good morning. It's day 2, I guess. And I did not get up at 5. I think I actually got up and started getting around at 6. I just didn't go to bed early enough. And that's fine. We're working on it. I'll eventually get to sleep on time and wake up as early as I want to, but because I didn't wake up as early as I wanted to, I didn't make as much progress in this book as I really, really needed to this morning. I think last night I ended at about page 111, and I only got through page 125 this morning, because I don't think I actually sat down and started reading until 6:30. But I'm still really enjoying Sandwich. I don't know that I'm gonna finish it before my meeting tonight, but that's okay. I have another meeting afterwards that's Silent Book Club, and I can bring this and finish it, and it's just across the street from the library, so I'll just pop back to the library and drop it off on my way home. I'm still really, really, really enjoying this. I had no idea what this was when I picked it up. I just knew that I'd seen it around, and what I had seen people saying about it was stuff that I was interested in. So essentially, we are following, I don't remember how much I told you yesterday, so I might cut a bunch of this out, but we are following this family. It's a mom and a dad and their 2 kids, their son's girlfriend, and then at the point I'm at, their grandparents, the mom's parents, come to stay at this beach house. They're here for a week, and the book is broken up into chunks based on the days. So like you get a little prologue, and then the first day is Saturday, and I am currently on Thursday, so the week is almost over. We only have a couple more days, but essentially this is their vacation and their lives from the mom's point of view. Like, we are getting this week from inside the mom's head, and this mom, I don't know how old they are. They haven't given an age. I know their daughter, who's the younger kid, is like 20, 21, something like that. And then the older kid is grown up. He has like an adult job. When I say adult job, I just mean he has a full-time job. I should stop saying adult job. But we're getting this week from the point of view of a mom who is now an empty nester, and she, I think, from what I'm reading in the book, is really struggling with this transition from being a mom to being her own person again. And she's going through menopause, so that doesn't help things. She's really emotional. She doesn't know why, but she keeps picking fights with people, even though she doesn't want to. She doesn't want to fight with these people. She loves these people. I think she's just fed up. But throughout the book, we're also getting flashbacks from all of the other summers that they spent at this house. And we get chapters that start with a sentence like, the summer Jamie was 5 and Willow was not yet 2. So she's basing these summers off of the age of her children rather than her age or where she was at in her life. It's always about her children. And we're just getting a lot from her point of view and how she felt really overwhelmed as a new mom. She didn't feel like her body was her own. She didn't have her own interests, her own time. And I think she's currently at a stage where she's getting that time back. She has her body back, but now she's going through menopause. So as soon as she got her body back, it's no longer hers again, because you can't control what menopause is doing to you, and you feel like a brand new person and not always for the better. So, yeah. I've been writing down quotes and my thoughts because I really just want to annotate this book, but I can't because it's a library copy. So I think, depending on how the last 100 or so pages go, I'm just going to buy this for myself. It might not be immediately because I don't know when I'm going to go to a bookstore, and I'm trying not to buy books this year, although this one, it would be kind of an exception because I have read it, so I'm not adding a book to my TBR, I'm just adding a book to my shelves. But I'm really, really enjoying it, and I looked at this author's backlist, and it kind of seems like she has never written fiction before, because the other titles are We All Want Impossible Things, Catastrophic Happiness, Finding Joy in Childhood's Messy Years, and Waiting for Birdie, A Year of Frantic Tedium, Improbable Grace, and the Wild Magic of Growing a Family. And then she has a list of books for kids, which I'm not that interested in. I don't have kids, and I don't really like reading children's literature unless it's for something, like for work. So it kind of sounds like she has written a bunch of nonfiction books about families, family planning, that kind of thing, which explains why she is covering these feelings so well. Like, I'm not a mother, but this is what I have heard so many mothers in my life talk about, and I see so much of this in my mom and my grandma. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm gonna read more of it on my lunch break. I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish it on my lunch break because I still have about 100 pages. Yeah, 100 pages. So I'm just gonna get as far as I can in it. Hopefully I don't cry at work, but if I do, that's fine. And then wherever I end up, I'll just finish it up at Silent Book Club. I don't think that'll be an issue because we read for a full hour and I take an hour lunch break. So I should have 2 more hours to read, which should put me right about 100 pages. That's about how much I read in an hour. So yeah. I'm gonna go get ready for work now, and hopefully it's Wednesday, my dudes. I did not wake up at 5 this morning. I think I finally got up around 6:30. Our Silent Book Club usually goes till 9:30, and then we stick around and chat, so I was out until like 10:15, and I didn't actually go to sleep until after 11, I think. So I was really tired. So we're not gonna count today because we need to rest when we do fun things. But I'm going to go to bed early tonight. I want to be in bed by 9. We'll see if it happens. At the absolute latest, I want to be in bed by 10. And I will get up at 5 tomorrow. Mark my words. So, a reading update. I finished Sandwich last night. It was incredible. I think I gave it 4.75 stars, and the only reason I knocked anything off the rating was because I felt like the ending was abrupt. At least it was too abrupt for me. I really wish that we had gotten just a little bit more of some of the characters and figured out what their life ended up looking like. But overall, it was an incredible book. I'm really glad I picked it up from the library, and in fact, I am going to Salt Lake this Friday, and I fully intend to buy my own copy and almost immediately reread it so that I can annotate it, because I marked so many things on a little piece of paper for me to remember later on, and there were a ton that I didn't mark because I either didn't have the paper with me or I was too engrossed to stop and take a second to write stuff down. The first book I finished this week, I'm now working on Masters of Death by Olivia Blake. I am on page 238 out of 384. I'm really enjoying it. I kind of hope I can finish it tomorrow, Friday at the latest. I kind of think it might be the last book I finish this month. And if I don't finish anything else, that's fine. I just have a lot of things to finish up in February. But yeah, I am going to change out of my work clothes. I've already put some dishes in the dishwasher and started a load of laundry. And I think I want to vacuum our bedroom because I didn't do that this weekend like I usually do. And then I'm going to go walk on the treadmill and read for 30 minutes to an hour. We'll see what time it is when I finally get on the treadmill. I don't want to be walking past 8, and it's almost 7 right now. So hopefully I get at least 30 minutes of reading in. Yesterday I don't think I got up until 6:30, but I did read before work. And then today I had to be at work at 6 because we had to drive to Salt Lake. And that takes a couple of hours. And I think I was up at 5:30. So it's probably the closest I got to 5 all week, but I did not get to read this morning. I did try to read on the way down. My coworker drove, but I was falling asleep, so I didn't read more than a few chapters of Jade War. I wanted to read the Welcome to the Hunam-Dong Bookshop, but my Kindle decided to return the book. When I opened it, I was trying to adjust the brightness because it was really bright, and then once I was done doing that, it just took me back to my library page, even though I still have the loan. Like, I still have it checked out from the library. And it said, you need connection to download this book, even though I already have it downloaded. So I had to read something else. It is, I think, like 8:20, something like that. And I have a little under 100 pages left of Masters of Death. So that's what I'm going to be spending the rest of the night doing. I'd really like to finish it tonight so that I can mark it off and count it in my January numbers. I think I have like this much left. So it should be doable as long as I can stay awake. We stopped for lunch. Before we came back, we were near one of the bookstores that I like to go to, so we went there. I got to meet their bookstore dog. Her name is Misty, and she's adorable. And I ended up with 5 books. 5 that I was not planning on buying. 3 of them are part of a series that I already own, although I have not read the first one in the series, so that doesn't really make it better. But 4 of the 5 were used, and I used points that I had at the bookshop, and then only 1 was new, and I think I ended up spending just under $45. So not great, but also not as bad as it could have been. I think I'm gonna go to bed I'm gonna go lay in bed and eat my leftovers from lunch for dinner and try to finish up this book. So yeah, I think I'm gonna check in one last time tomorrow to tell you how I felt about this. And then I also need to read The Bride Test, which is not something I'm currently reading, but I need to read it this weekend so I can return it to the library when it's due next week. We're reading it for the library romance book club, and I got the audio off of Libby, and I have the physical book from the library, so I'm going to do a little bit of a tandem read, but I might end up just listening to the audio for the majority of it while I'm doing other stuff tomorrow. But yeah, I'll check in with you about that tomorrow. Good night. Hello from my front-facing camera. I remembered what I wanted to tell you. I got back from Salt Lake around 2, and then my husband and I went to see a movie at 3. I wanted to tell you about the movie. We went to see Companion. I don't know how to classify it. It's kind of horror, kind of sci-fi. Basically, you're watching from the point of view of this woman who is actually a sex bot, and she essentially is gaining sentience. And I don't want to tell you more than that because I don't want to spoil it, because my husband didn't know anything going in and he really enjoyed that. I knew just what I told you, just that a sex bot was gaining sentience. And I also really enjoyed it. And I think if you know more than that, you might not have as good of a time as we did. So yeah, we really liked it. You should go see it if you're into that kind of thing. Now it's actually time for me to get in bed. Morning, friends. It is about 7:40 on Monday, February 3rd, and I kind of just wanted to wrap up the week of waking up at 5 a.m., or in my case, just close to 5 a.m., and tell you what I actually ended up reading. Long story short, I am probably going to keep trying to wake up at 5 a.m. It kind of sucks to get up that early, but I think I could benefit a lot from this routine. And it also is just the easiest for me and my husband to be able to go to the gym together, because he gets off work around 4:30, I think. So he's off work before rush hour, before people are all over the roads, and we live on a really busy road. So it gets pretty wild when I get off of work, because I usually don't leave until 5 or later. I sometimes have to stay late. Actually, I stay late at least once a week most of the time. So getting up at 5 or as close to 5 as possible makes it so that we can go to the gym together. And one of my big goals for this year, since breaking my foot last year and not going to the gym for the majority of the last half of the year, is to regain my strength. I am like walking at home in the evenings, but I can't do a ton of strength training. I can do like body weight strength training, which is still good, but not really what I want. I want to get stronger. I want to get back to where I was last year. So getting up this early, whether or not it helps my reading, I'm still going to do it because it'll help me get to the gym more often and do strength training with my husband. Let's go over what I ended up reading. I don't really think that waking up that early was the reason that I read more this week than I usually do. I think, well, it might have been tangentially related to how much I was reading, because I was getting to work earlier. Before this week, I was getting to work at like, I don't know, 8:30 or later most days, which meant that I would take a shorter lunch so that I wouldn't have to stay longer. So I was getting up earlier and getting to the office by 8:10 most days. So I was taking a 45-minute or 50-minute lunch most days. Some days I still took an hour because I knew I was going to get comp time last week because of our Friday situation, which I talked about. We had to go down to Salt Lake for, I think it was like a day on the hill situation. But because of that, I was actually getting more time on my lunch to read than I normally do. Although some days I still got interrupted a lot. So I didn't get to read as much as I really wanted to. But I ended up finishing 4 books, and 3 of those were ones that I started this week. So my initial goal of cleaning out my currently reading didn't go well, but that's okay. I still finished 4 books, and that's kind of a wild amount of books for me. The first one that I finished was Sandwich, which I've talked about a lot, so I won't talk about it too much now. But I finished that one first. I ended up giving it 5 stars. And then the second book that I finished was actually The Serviceberry by Robin Wall Kimmerer. I think I also talked about this a little bit, so I won't go too deep into it, but I've really been ruminating on that book. Like, I can't stop thinking about it. I really enjoyed it. I really liked the messaging that it put forward. So I've put in a request at my used bookstore to be notified if they ever get a copy. It kind of sounds like they've been struggling to get new copies even. So it'll probably be a while, but I've already read it, already ingested it. So I got what I needed out of it. I think I also rated that 5 stars. Yeah, I rated it 5 stars. And then the third book that I finished was Masters of Death by Olivia Blake. This was a buddy read with my mom for this month. I really liked it. I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to at the beginning. The first chapter was kind of a lot. Like, it really just throws you in. But it did set the tone for the rest of the book, and I ended up liking the rest of it. I think I gave it 4.5 stars. It was a 4 or 4.5 for me. And the only reason I didn't give it a 5 was because I felt like this book was too short. It was 390-ish pages, but I still felt like we didn't get enough time with all of the characters because there were so many characters. And I wish that we had gotten more time with them because I didn't get enough. I didn't get enough out of it. The last book was also one that I started and finished this week, and that was The Bride Test by Helen Hong. This is a romance book that I'm reading for my library's romance book club. I need to return it today, actually. So I started it on Saturday and I finished it yesterday. I listened to the whole thing while I was doing chores and crocheting my blanket. I really did not like the first book in this series. It was just fine for me. Like, it wasn't bad. I just didn't, I don't know. It wasn't that I didn't like the characters or anything like that. The characters were fine, and I really liked the autism representation. But I felt like the first half of the book, you only saw the 2 main characters in a hotel, pretty much. And by the time we finally started meeting one of the characters' families and all of this, I just didn't care about them. So, like, why would I care that we're meeting their families? Essentially, that was my main problem with the first book. But the second book, we got a lot more out of it. We were introduced to the characters, both of them, separately ahead of them meeting each other. And this woman, this is the only one I haven't talked about, so I'm going to go a little bit more in depth while I'm doing my makeup. This woman is from Vietnam. I'm pretty sure it's Vietnam. If you've read this and I'm wrong, please tell me and I'll correct it. I think they're from Vietnam. Both of the families are. And this woman ended up getting pregnant when she was really young, and the dad didn't stick around. I don't really remember why. I'm going to be honest, I wasn't paying that much attention in the beginning because I was kind of expecting not to like this book. But I was pleasantly surprised. She is approached by this man's mom, and this man is autistic, but his whole family knows that he is autistic and that he just has a really hard time communicating and like developing relationships. So his mom has gone back to Vietnam I think it was to visit family or something else. She wasn't just there to find him a wife, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. But she ends up finding this woman who is the main character. I think her name is May. I don't remember the man's name, unfortunately. He wasn't as big of a part of the story for me. But she finds this woman and she's like, oh, I think you'd be a great wife for my son. He's never going to marry if I don't do something about it. And essentially, she like creates an arranged marriage for her son because she wants grandkids, and he is not delivering for her. He just has a lot of trouble developing and maintaining relationships. And there's a lot of like trauma and grief going on in both of their lives. So they both have some stuff they need to work through. And long story short, they end up together. But the thing that really sold this book for me and why I ended up liking it so much more than the first one was that this woman who dropped out of school when she was younger because I assume it's because she got pregnant or because her family needed her to work for them to be able to afford to live, something like that. She dropped out of school even though she was pretty smart and did really well, and she comes to America essentially to catfish this man, and she ends up going to an adult school and getting her GED. And that's just incredible. Like, I love that for her, and I love that this author showed that. But after she gets her GED, her visa's about to run out, so she's on a tourist visa while she's there. And once she gets her GED and she decides, nah, we're not marrying this man because he can't say he loves me, even though he's sleeping with me all the time. We can't marry a man who won't admit to loving me. She goes and she tries to get a scholarship visa instead. So she tries to get a scholarship to college. And the epilogue really drove that part of the story home, and I just really love how she ended it, because so many romances, and this is fine if the character wants to be pregnant and have a child, if that's a goal of theirs, that's fine. I don't mind it when it's been like talked about and they know they want kids and everything else. But so often the epilogues in romance books end up with the female main character being pregnant, them being pregnant and married, and she never talked about wanting that. She's a career woman. In so many of these books, she is a career woman, and she just gives up her career to get pregnant and get married. So this epilogue did not do that. I won't tell you what it did in case you want to read it, so I don't spoil it. But the epilogue was so good, and I started crying listening to the epilogue because I was so happy with what the author did. I think I gave this one 4 stars. I think it was 4 or 4.5. It was much better than the first one. But I have heard some questionable things about the third one, so I don't know if I'm going to read that one or not, especially since the first one was so not great for me. We'll see. It'll be a while if I do read it. But yeah, I think that's everything I read in this vlog or during the like waking up at 5 a.m. time. I am gonna keep waking up, so I think the next vlog is also gonna be a waking up at 5 a.m. vlog. But yeah, I liked a lot of what I read this week, and I think that waking up that early is really good for me. So I'm probably not gonna make myself wake up at 5 on the weekends. I think I woke up at like 9:30 on Saturday. I was very tired. Yesterday we got up around 7:30 because we needed to go to the grocery store by 8 to do a pickup order. So the weekends will probably be closer to like 7 o'clock. But overall, this was a good experience, and I want to keep doing it. So that's it. 4 books, all I think 4 stars or above, so that's really good. Yeah, I'll end it here. Thank you for watching.